Hello everybody and welcome to All Hands on Tech Live. I'm Jeremy Morgan. Pretty excited about what we're going to be doing today. Today we're going to do some more stuff with Blazor components, but we're going to take Blazor components, wire them into SQLite database and use Entity Framework Core, and we're going to do it start to finish and create kind of a full CRUD solution. And this ties into an article that I'm working on right now for allhandsontech.com. But we're going to put this all together and we're going to make it awesome and it's going to be fun. So let's jump right in. And as you can see, I had my restream window here. And I'm going to do a quick tech check just to make sure that we are live on YouTube. Yes. We're live on LinkedIn. Yes. And we're live on Twitch, I believe, I think. Actually, yeah, we're live on Twitch also. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So let's just jump right into this. Now what we're going to do today is set up a Blazor project. I'm going to set up a brand new Blazor project from the beginning. Let's just do that right now. We'll create a new project. And we're going to create a Blazor server app. Next, we're going to call this employees. This is going to be similar to what we did last week, but we're going to, this time I've got some notes. We're going to do a little better. We're going to add some more functionality in there, and it's going to be great. So we're going to use .NET 7 for this. We're not going to have any authentication. We're not going to use Docker or anything like that. And we're going to create it. I'm going to pull out some of the default stuff. Actually, I probably should have just created an empty Blazor project, but whatever. So we've got this all loaded up. Let's press play and see if our application runs before we even start. We have to make sure this thing runs, right? And there's the chat room. Here we go. Hello world, our new Blazor app. Cool, except we're not going to use any of this stuff pretty much. So let's jump in really quick here. And I'm going to go into the shared file. We're going to go to the nav menu, pull out some of those navigation elements that we don't need because those are just going to confuse us. What we're going to do today is we're going to create a list of fake employees. And we're going to manage them. We're going to build like an employee management system from start to finish. Let's load this up real quick. All right, that's all we want. It's just that home page goodness. So I will pull out fetch data razor. We don't need that anymore. We don't need counter razor. And we're going to have to go into program CS and remove that weather forecast service. And this should be, yeah, there we go. So now we just have just this plain old Blazor app here. Cool. So where do we start? I would say we've got the project set up. We need to install some packages. So let's go to the package manager console here. And I've got some notes so you don't have to watch me type it out. We're going to install Entity Framework Core with SQLite. Because, oh, could not find. Got to go into the employees folder. We're going to install Entity Framework Core for SQLite. So there is a special version of Entity Framework Core just for SQLite. And I see something here in the chat. What's the agenda today? Today we're going to build a CRUD system for employees, kind of like we did last week, but a little more structured, a little more faster. But we're going to build create, read, update, and delete Blazor components. And it's going to connect to a SQLite database using Entity Framework Core. That is the agenda today. This is going to take more than an hour. Almost guaranteed, but I'll try to do it in an hour. This is the Entity Framework core tools. Compatible with all specified blah, blah, blah. Let's see. It looks like maybe it wasn't an error. Okay, it wasn't. Good. And then finally, we need to install Entity Framework Core Design. All of this stuff is going to be on an article on allhandsontech.com. I'm finishing it up now. And it will have detailed instructions, but if you want to hang out today and watch today, we're going to do it today. Oh, there we go. So I ran .NET tool update-g .NET EF, and that .NET EF is something that you run, you can use to run Entity Framework stuff, and I just wanted to make sure it's updated with everything, because last week I updated .NET and Visual Studio and all the things, and so I want to make sure that everything is up to date with the very newest stuff. So we should be ready to go. Now we need to create our SQLite database. This database will be basically nothing, right? So when we're starting out, we'll go here, repos, employees, data. We're just going to call this employees.db. When you first go to create it, and I'm using DB Browser for SQLite, so you can Google that, or you could, in the article, I'll have a link to it. This is what I use to manage SQLite instances. It's very good. This thing runs on all the platforms. Fantastic program. When you go to first create a database, it asks you for a table definition to create a new table. Just hit cancel. We don't need a table. And then you can just close the database. Now we should see in our data folder an employees.db. So it's just nothing. Just a blank database. But that's what we need to create, and what we're going to do is we're going to create all the tables and everything with Entity Framework, so it's a lot easier. Now what I'm going to do is take some Macaroo data, just like I did last week. We all love Macaroo, right? Macaroo! So we're going to create some Macaroo data, and I'm going to use the same class that we used last week. We're just doing things a little different. We're doing things a little better than we did last week. But I'm going to use the same class. So add new item. This class is going to be named employee. Actually, isn't the solution name? Oh, solution is employees. So I guess employee will work. So we're going to do employee class. This is a public class, just a plain old class object, and I'll copy in the properties of this class. So we have an ID, first name, last name, email, department, and avatar. All of these things will come from Macaroo. So none of this is like real data that anybody needs to worry about. And I just remembered I need to jump into something here really quick. So I don't get LinkedIn chat on, and I better mute that. I don't get LinkedIn chat on Restream, I've noticed. So I kind of have to check both of those, but it looks like we don't have anything in the chat room yet. So coolio. So I'm going to take these, I'm going to just copy and paste these fields. Do a little so that our CSV is named the same. Not that it really even matters, but I'm just going to try to make this consistent. And last week what we did is we did a CSV, and I think we dumped it in directly into the SQL database. Today I'm going to do that a little bit differently. First name, last name. Oh, we need email. Last name, email. Department and avatar. Okay, so now the fields all match up with the fields in our class. That's pretty important. If you're doing an import, it's really important. Here, oh, geez, we did department. I think we did corporate. So we'll do department, corporate for that. For the avatar, if you haven't used Mockaroo, Mockaroo is awesome. See, this is going to generate an avatar. It's asking for a size. We're going to do like 150 by 150, PNG, no blanks for any of this stuff. Blanks can be kind of useful. If you're doing test data, you can actually put a percentage of blank in here to test how things handle it, you know. But this is, yeah, Mockaroo is completely awesome. So instead of 1,000, I think we're going to go for 100 records, and let's download it. We're going to save this, open it up, and there's our CSV. Cool, right? So this is our mock data CSV. I'm going to go save as, and we're going to save it into our repo. Here, we're under employees, data. We're just going to call this mock data CSV and save it. All right, so now we have our data model. We've got our fake data. We're going to put it all together. First, we need to create a data context. In case you haven't noticed, I say it differently every time. And I'm not sure why. Is it data? Is it data? I don't know. This is going to be employee data context. And what we do here is we extend DB, oh, geez, I think it's, yeah, DB context. And for that, we're going to have to add entity framework, right? So it's going to say over here, using entity framework core, which we are. And here we have a configuration. And again, I'm going to copy and paste codes from notes so that we don't see a whole bunch of typing. This is going to pull in our configuration so that we can pull in connection strings, which our connection string for this is super, super simple. For the next part, we're going to do an onConfiguring. So this method is called as it's being configured, as this context is being pulled in. It's going to go, and we have an options builder here that says use SQLite. So that's different from use SQL Server or some of the other ones that you may have seen. For this one, it's use SQLite and then configuration, which is up here, get connection string employee DB. And then lastly, we'll put in our DB set here, and it's going to be a public DB set. Look at that. It's already created for us here. IntelliSense filled it in. So this is our context for now. It's going to look like this. Whoops, I'm not sure why that. There we go. Now we need to connect to the SQLite database. We're calling this connection string that doesn't yet exist, so I'll copy this. That way we're exact, and we'll go into appsettings.json. You can do this after logging, before logging, it doesn't really matter. We're going to do connection strings. This connection string is going to be named employee DB, and it is going to have a data source. Data source equals data. What did we name that? I gotta look and see what we named it. Employees.db. And this is our connection string right here. And I think I need to escape that again, don't I? Yeah. Okay. Employees.db. That's our connection string. Now you might be thinking, there's no authentication information in there. Is this just something you can open up? And the answer is yes. If somebody can get your employees.db out of this, they can access it. We don't really have time today to lock that down, but that is just something that you should keep in mind. If someone gets your employees DB, they can just open it up in DB browser for SQLite and they can jump right in and have fun. So definitely something to consider. But there are ways around it. There are definitely ways to secure it and lock it down the way it should be. We're just not going to do it today. So now we need to, for my notes, we need to add services. We will do that in our program.cs. Now in here, we have a builder object. We're going to use that. We're going to, let's see, we're already using employees.data, which is good. We need to do Entity Framework Core. Microsoft, Entity Framework Core. And configuration. Okay, so we need these. And here, we're going to pull in the connection string. And we need to, of course, do that after builder. So we're going to use builder to pull that connection string. And now we have a connection string that's stored here in a variable, in a string that is the employee connection string, which, as we saw a few minutes ago, is just data source equals data employees.db. Easy money. And then after server-side Blazor, we need to add a connection string. Again, I have this copied from this article. We're adding our employee data context here. We're adding context. We have DB context factory that just creates these neat little contexts. Employee data context, and then we're passing in options, use SQLite with this connection string. So all of this combined will be our connection to this. Now what we need to do is create a migration. And what that's going to do right now, if we open up our database, open database, employees DB, there's literally nothing in here. No tables, nothing. No views, none of that. So we'll close that. And with a single command, Entity Framework is going to generate the SQL we need. It's going to create those tables, create everything we need, actually just table. .NET EF, migrations, add initial migration. Hopefully we have no errors. Looks like we have no errors, so now we can just run our .NET EF database update. And the migration is applied. So let's look and see what our database looks like now. Open the database. Look at that. We've got a migrations history. We have an employees table that looks exactly like our class. So what we're doing is just taking that plain old class object, we're pushing it in there, and it's awesome. And hello, everybody from LinkedIn. I noticed we have a lot of LinkedIn users today. I'm going to screenshot that. That's really cool. And there's some avatars that I was working on earlier. But yeah, that is awesome. Love it. And looks like we have quite a few people on Twitch. And I'm going to answer this question here in case you can hear it. For our Twitch audience. And as a reminder, we are always on Twitch, all the time. While we may sometimes be on other platforms, we're always on Twitch. We try to stream out to Twitter, to LinkedIn, to YouTube, but we're always on Twitch, so that's the best place to follow us and join. So now we've turned this class into a SQL database, which is fantastic. That's awesome, right? So now next, we need to seed this database. And to seed it, so last time we took the CSV, we just dumped it straight into here. Today, I want to seed this database so that whenever this is created, it automatically creates this database with this fake stuff from Macaru. So we're going to open this up again, and this is actually going to be the same string that we used last week. So we used the pattern last week to do employee list add. This is going to be pretty similar, except we're not going to add it to an employee list like we did before. We're just going to say like this, and I'll show you how that works. In here, we'll close this out. Close out a bunch of these. We want employee data context. Now in here, we're going to create a new method. It's called onModelCreating. So public, we're going to override it, the base one. Void on, something like that. On model creating with our model builder. Actually, I have it here. There we go, in my notes. I knew I had it here somewhere. It's protected. I forgot. I made that public. It's not supposed to be public. It's protected. Protected override void main on model creating. So this is whenever this model is created, whenever we're running it, this thing will run one time. And we want to do model builder entity. We want this entity to be an employee. Hello. Hi, I've just joined and I'm watching from the time you created data context. Can you quick show what you've done before 2 minutes? Yeah, I can do that. Here just a second, we're going to do toTable. And this will be watchable on, we're going to name it employee. Watchable on YouTube later, you can replay it. But what I've done so far is we created a SQLite database right here, employees.db. Created an employee plain old class object that we want. We want ID, first name, last name, email, department, and avatar. And that is all information that I got from macaru.com. So I generated a CSV full of first names, last names, email addresses. This is all fake people here. And we're going to inject that into our database. I created this database context here. And that's what we're working on right now to seed this data. And yeah, we're going to seed it, fill it up with this employee data. And we're going to take this here and this is how we're going to seed this employee data. I'm going to take this, That was from last week. We want to copy and paste everything from this mock data that we got, everything except that first row. So I'm going to copy everything in this mock data, and we're going to turn this into C# code with our friend NimbleText, available at nimbletext.org, I think. And so it's going to take all of this CSV data and turn it into C# code that we can use. Now, I forgot I need to put a comma after this. Now I should be able to copy all of this and put it all into here. Yikes. We've got to remove that last comma. Save. Format did nothing in this particular case. And these are all new employees that we're going to add to the database with a migration. That looks like a pretty good place to put it. Right there. Look at that giant bunch of code that we would have had to type out if I wasn't using this NimbleText. This is pretty cool. You just put in data up here, you put in a pattern, and it transforms the data down here to what you need it to be, which in our case is C# code. So Learn New, did that kind of clear up what we're working on? We're basically building like an employee database, like management system type of thing. I hope that kind of clears it up a little bit. And we're going to build a Blazor component that shows this, and we can manage it and all that kind of fun stuff today. It's going to be cool. Now also, I should say that we have made a decision about the streaming. How about how startup.cs looks? Oh, we're not using startup.cs on this one. It's program.cs. It's a server-side one. So startup.cs. In here, I did a connection string where I used the builder configuration get connection string. And in app settings.json, I have a connection string that is just a file locator. It just says data source equals data employees.db. Since SQLite is a file-based database, this is the only connection you need to do, is just basically point to the file and say, here's where the file exists. And then in here, whoops, need to open up program CS. And then in here, I created a DB context factory with the employee data context that we're working on and pass in that connection string. This should, I don't want to be too confident, but it should connect and build out just fine. Actually, it did. We did an initial migration. Now we're going to do another migration and see if it dumps the data in here. I'm really hoping it does. And then if it does, we should be able to start reading that data and start doing some stuff with it. So I'm going to go here, .NET EF migrations add seed data. Let's see if this works. DF database update. Pending. The database may not be in an expected state because I have it open here, probably. Let's try this again. Oh, so it did do the update. This is awesome. One thing that I did want to say here, and actually I just realized I need to check something here really quick. Perfect. So one thing that I did want to point out is this is going to be our last session on Blazor for a little while. We're going to jump into some Unity game development for the next couple months. So we're going to build video games with Unity. So we're still going to be doing C# and .NET stuff. We're just going to be doing really fun C# and .NET stuff. And we're going to, or actually, I take that back. We're going to do developing games not with Unity entirely, but we're going to start with some JavaScript games. So we're going to do some building in JavaScript. Then we're going to do some Unity and C# stuff. So I got it mixed up there. I got it mixed up. So the next week, when we jump in, we're going to start doing some JavaScript games. We're going to build games in JavaScript. It's going to be really fun. But we're not going to completely abandon C# and .NET or Unity or any of that stuff. But that's what we're gonna mess with next week. I joined for Blazor. Yes, we're still gonna do more Blazor stuff. If you want to send me an email at jeremy-morgan@pluralsight.com, I can definitely give you some good tips and locations to look for some Blazor stuff. We have a Blazor course. We have several Blazor courses at Pluralsight that are really good. There is also some really good online documentation out there that we know of, some good streamers, all that. I can give you all of that in an email if you want to send it to me, jeremy-morgan@pluralsight.com. And I'll just put that in the chat. There we go. And yeah, I'll give you a full. I've been doing the Blazor stuff for a couple years, and a lot of resources that I like to do. I've taken Gil Clearan's course on Pluralsight. That's been really good, and yeah, it's fun stuff. Blazor is awesome. Browse table. Look at that. We now have data. Ta-da! And it gets inserted once, and then that's it. So this will always be the seed data that every time this application, you know, if somebody takes it, actually I'll put it up on GitHub and people can download it from there. But when the first time you run that database migration, all of this stuff will come in, and then you can make changes based on that and migrations. But here's, we have our avatar, department, email, first name, last name. This kind of stuff looks like, just spotting it by eye, it looks like everything is where it should be. So cool. How can we display this? That is what we're going to do next. So for pages, let's create a new page. We could do new Razor page. Now here's something interesting that I wasn't going to talk about, but I will talk about it here, is there are some scaffolding templates here. So you can use Razor page using Entity Framework CRUD, which is what we're doing today. I've never gotten these things to work with Blazor pretty much ever. We're going to try it. Let's just try it. So I'm going to do Razor pages with Entity Framework. So we're going to add, this does some scaffolding. What is our model class? Our model class should be employee, data context, employee data context. Click add. I've never been able to get this to work. If it works now, I will be shocked. And then the stream's over because it's going to generate everything that I was going to write. But I don't think it's going to work. And this kind of scaffolding, I've used it before with MVC. I used to build MVC pages for a living, like tons of them. Tons and tons. And yeah, it actually did work. I can't believe it. I spoke too soon. It actually worked. However, all of this stuff needs to be moved because it's all in just pages. And that doesn't really work that well for me. Create new, etc. Please pages. I'm going to take edit, delete, create. I think Validation scripts. Yeah, that one. So I'm going to take all of these and put them into a folder just to kind of keep them away from everything else. So we're going to do cut. It figures I say this thing never works for me, and then I get on a stream and it works perfectly fine. Adjust namespaces, yes. So now we should have pages/employee, and I'm just going to run this thing and see if this actually works. Usually I do this by hand, most every time. Employee. Look at that. So we don't have the JavaScript here that we need. However, there's a listing of all the employees. That's great. We're still going to do it this way, though. We're still going to write all this stuff out and make it work. However, that is kind of interesting. So I think I can do details. Nope. What was the name of that file? Details.cshtml? I don't know. So the JavaScript doesn't work, but that's not a big surprise because I changed that folder. But we can just rob this code and kind of make it what we want it to be. This is very similar to what I was planning on writing anyway. But yeah, usually this doesn't work so great. And actually, I'm going to recreate these. Maybe if I recreate them, then all the paths and everything will be what they're supposed to be. So we're going to add Razor page, CRUD again, model class, employee data context, creates reference script libraries, use a layout page. If it's empty, leave empty if it's in a Razor view start, which we do. We don't want to use our existing page templates for it right now because because it's in a subfolder, all of the references will be messed up. But let's see if we can make this part work. Okay. There's our files again. Now, let's go to our nav menu here. And we will create another navigation link so I don't have to type it in every time. We'll go employees. And I have a question here. What is the Razor component when we do right click? So I'm not sure what you mean by that. Like if you right click on the Razor component. That one I'm not sure exactly what you mean. Oh, and we have build errors. Tons of build errors. Employee is a namespace, but it's used like a type. Oh, because I used the employee folder. Okay, let's do that all over again. Not a big deal, considering it seems to work with this project. Instead of employee, I'm going to name this employees. Add Razor component. Or no, it was Razor page. Razor page with CRUD. It's going to be employee, employees.data, employee data context, etc. Add, and we'll see if this works the way it should. Like I said, what we'll probably do is just rob the code out of this and make something of our own. Namespace data does not exist. So employees dot data, employee data context, Yeah, it should exist. Try rebuilding this thing really quick. Ah, see, it's a little wonky. This is extending off a page model. Employee data context. Employees.data. Yeah, this should. It's right there. Namespace, employees.data. Public class. Yeah, there isn't. I'm not sure exactly why that's not reading it. But this is one of the reasons I don't like to use this scaffolding. .cs. Yeah, it is employee.cs, but what this is looking for is that data folder. So it's looking for employees data and not finding it. And I'm not sure why it's not finding it. Let's try this. Because it doesn't need to be explicitly called out. And that part does work. Yeah, but the project name is employees, so that's why it's employees data. If you look up here, the namespace is employees, but the project or the object itself is employee singular, if that makes any sense. Data does not exist. And so we have to go through all of these and remove that. Holy moly. Make all of these things implicit. There's a few more that I missed. Implicit. So scaffolding isn't perfect, but it's pretty good. It's a good time saver for sure if you can get it to work. Like I said, with the MVC stuff, I used to do that stuff every day, and it saved me tons of time to just scaffold things out. Oh, we failed again. Shared does not exist. Employees.shared does exist. That is a very strange error message there. And yeah, I think I'm just creating way too many namespace problems by naming this employees also. Yeah, it's just breaking that. So I'm going to name it people. And I think that will solve most of our problems. We'll turn this back to what it was. Pages, add, new folder, people. Kind of got on a little tangent here with the scaffolding thing, but I like seeing it work for the most part. Employee, which is in employees.data. Employee data context, also employees.data. Cool, cool, cool. Scaffolding out. Let's see if it works. It seems to. Let's build it. Let's see if it builds. It builds. Okay, so yeah, I was creating some big namespace problems there. This is no longer employees. Now this is people. So we should see, there's our list of people. Still don't have any JavaScript here, which means none of our routing and stuff is going to work properly. Should we try to do this with main layout Razor is the question. I'm going to try it. Delete that. We're going to add another Razor page with CRUD. So this time we're going to do a little bit different. Employees data, employee data. We're going to use a layout page and see if it works. We're going to go into shared. Oh, that doesn't work. Yeah, I can specify the route with the page directive, and I think that'll fix it. But a lot of those ASP links won't work without any JavaScript. And yeah, I can't add, for some reason, can't use this shared layout. Only ones it shows me are these, so I'll copy main layout Razor into there and name it something else, like copy, and we can put it in people. Actually, no, we should put it in pages so it doesn't mess up all the references. We'll call this people layout Razor. And we'll go back in here, add Razor page with CRUD. See, we're getting fast at this, right? Use layout page. Still not available. I think it's because it's not named CSHTML, which they're actually going away from with Blazor, the CSHTML stuff. So this should still work. If not, we're just going to go and do what we're going to do anyway. So add Razor page, CRUD, employees data, employee data context, layout page, people layout. Let's see if it works. Nope. Okay, so instead we're just going to do it with no layout page. And we're going to rob that code out of there. It'll be fine. It doesn't even like that. So cancel, cancel, delete. Employee data context, no layout page. Okay, now we have a whole bunch of people pages. So let's go into our nav menu, change this to people. And just see if we can get each of the pages up. So we have people. Let's see if we can do people edit 1. Nope. People details. Let's check that page directive routing and see if that has something to do with it. check one of my other applications and see what. Yeah, I haven't used any of that stuff. So here. Search for something here. Let's see. Yeah, it could just cause, let's just do a page directive. Since this page directive is blank, we're going to say page people. This one's the index, right? Or no, this is a create. So people create. Let's see if we can get the create page to come up. People create multiple endpoints. So I'll put one of these in each of these pages. People edit. People details. People delete. And this is just and then people create. So index should be just people. Okay, so there's people. And our links aren't working. Edit can't be found. What about edit? Nothing here. So that's fine. Said I think we'll just we'll rob some code out of this stuff, but create our own pages. And I want to create them in our main application anyway. So this, when we start this up, I don't really want it to say hello world and all that. I just want it to show a list of employees. So how can we do that? We can take, one thing I'm going to do is steal the component that we used last week. So I'm going to add a folder here. We're going to call it components. Hello, Slate Shadow. I'm doing great. How are you? Then I need to jump in here and see if I can find last week's Blazor component. I feel like I did have an employee card raiser. We're going to open this with Notepad. This is employee card raiser that we used last time. I don't think I can just copy and paste this in here, but we're going to make it pretty close. Actually, yeah, let's just do that. Let's just copy and paste it. So we'll leave the page directive in there. Oops, components. We're going to add a razor component. And this razor component, we called it employee card. So employee card.razor. In here, let's see, it's not Blazor test data now, it is employees data. There we go. Our employee context is a little bit different. So it's going to be employee data context. And then we'll just do this employees.data. Oh yeah, employee database context. I think we can like nearly drop this in. Yeah. Okay, we can ignore that one for now, but this is the component that we built last week when we were doing the Blazor components. But for those of you who didn't watch that or didn't see it, we can just jump right in here. And we're injecting our DB context factory, that employee DB context factory that we created earlier with the employee DB context. And then we're saying if our employee is not null, so our employee is going to be passed as a parameter into this little component. So we pass in an employee. We have our employee avatar. We have our employee first name, last name. Then for the card title, we're also doing, that's for the alt tag. For our card title, we're also doing first name and then last name. And then we have their department and their email. And this was like a delete button for deleting employee. And then we have the email, our employee first name. So this should work. In here, we have a delete employee function. And what that does is it grabs that employee ID that we're storing. And it creates a DB context, removes the employee, saves the changes. So that covers the delete part that we're going to do later. But right now, I just want to show this employee. So we need employee card Razor to show up on our index page. So to do that, let's see, I can also steal some more code from last week, right? We can go in here. We have pages. There's employee listing. Oh, we'll just open it up right here. This is employee listing from last week. And this, I think we could, again, steal much of this for our index page. Let's try it. Our employees. We're going to take this here. Oh, and it looks like we're already doing that there. So we need to go here to index Razor. I'm going to pin that so I don't get mixed up again. And instead of the survey prompt, welcome to the new app, hello world, all that's going to go away. Now we need to do show employees, because show employees is actually what's going to make that query to the database and populate it. And to do that, we're going to do a code behind. And this is something that we covered last week, where we go into pages, we say add new item, and we're going to call this index.razor.cs, and that'll create our code behind file. Why on earth is it razor.razor? Did I totally typo that or what? New item. It's going to be index.razor.cs. And it should be a class. That's where I messed up. Add. There we go. Okay. Partial. Whoops. Wrong place. Partial. Now we have a partial class of index. This is where we're going to, and I have another file here to open from last week. And this one, we're just going to copy and paste that in there. But I'll explain what the code does as we do it. So go in here, public partial class index, just dumping all this stuff in here. We need these usings. Cut that out, put it up here. We'll delete this. And then we just got to pull in our context, which will be different here because it's not Blazor test data. Instead, it is employees, employee data context. So we're just naming things a little bit different. Context. And I thought we called that employee context DB factory. Oh, did we inject it though? That's the question. I think that's what we need to do here. So we have an employee list, employee DB context factory, and I think we need to inject it up here in order for this to work properly. Let me check something else here really quick. Blazor, yeah. We need to inject it into our page here. And it's going to be employee data context, right? Or not. Using employees.data. There we go. Should be employee data context. Why can it not see that? There we go. So we've copied and pasted a bunch of code out of last week's. But in last week's, what we did is we made a button, a primary button here. That's the styling. And when you click it, on click, it shows employees. So this is going to show all the employees in the list. And then it goes, yeah, I need to use components again here really quick. Let me get rid of these red squigglies before I describe this. Components. Okay, so when we do an on-click, it calls that show employees method that we have here. What that does is it grabs the context, creates employees, and here we changed it to our department equals books. Doesn't really matter right now. We just want it to show some employees. And then when it comes back, so after the code behind goes, grabs all those employees, then we say if the employee list is not null, then let's take each employee in that employee list, and that's an employee object, pass it into our employee card to show the employees. That's what we should see when we press play. Show employees. Let's see if it shows them or if it breaks. It looks like it's going to break. That's what it's looking like right now. But there's 100 employees to grab, so maybe it's just taking a little while. Output. Razor, maybe this is a problem here. We're getting a warning. But this does seem extremely slow. Let's try rebuild. in here. Everything's loaded, everything's ready. Click show employees. It should show employees. If this doesn't work, we're going to step through it, because that's always like the easiest, quickest way. Just step through it, figure out what's going on. Should be fun. Yeah, there's something wrong here. It definitely should not be taking this long. Let me make sure that needs to be closed. That could be part of it. I might have had the database open, but it should still be fast and go, and it's not. So let's figure out where it's hanging up. We're just going to throw a little breakpoint here. Okay, there we go. So step over. Okay, and then I'll click show employees. Once again, we're going here. We're going to step over. Is there anything in this employee list? Nope, the count is 0. I'm guessing that it's my little books query, where department equals books. Do we even have a books department? I don't know. We did last week. Let's open up our database again. Browse the table, and it looks like we probably don't have books. So we'll do sales. Close that database, where department equals sales. Oh, we don't need this anymore. So we'll continue. There we go. At least this is showing. This shows all of our sales folks. So to go back through this again, show you what we're doing. Still have that silly breakpoint that I did not remove. Or did I remove it? Show employees. It's going super slow again, or it's not. Yeah, save. Let's rebuild. Yeah, once again, it's not showing anything. Our employees are showing up there, but not here. So that's pretty interesting, right? Fix formatting. Okay. No, we don't want to fix all occurrences, but where X department is equal to sales to list. Let's make sure this works. Still going way, way too slow for 100 records. Fix formatting. Or X department sales to list. I'm not sure exactly what it changed there. Look at all that memory. Look at the CPU not doing anything. Why does it not show employees? Now, one thing we could do is, oh, okay. Let's see if we can find out exactly where this thing's hanging up. But it doesn't even look like it's hanging. It just looks like it's doing nothing. But let's make sure here. So we'll step over. Employee list. There's nothing in the employee list, so that's what the problem is. We just show all employees. Let's show them all. Continue. Okay, so now we're showing all employees, which is kind of what we want. Now delete employee, just going to click it. Doesn't look like it's doing much. So now we go show employees. And once again, we see no employees. I have to admit that I have not seen something like this before. Where it just kind of stares at you and does nothing. That's kind of where it's at. It's just kind of staring at me. So, of course, we'll put in a breakpoint and we'll figure it out. If context is not null, it's not null. Go here, employee list has a count of 0. So that's why it's just showing basically nothing. Let's go. This time we're going to step into let's go on and stop it where our query was. Where did we find our query? Oh, it's employee listing. Right now, employee card. Somewhere in here we had a query. Oh, right here. So context employees to list. This is right where the problem is, I believe. But I've never seen it just return nothing like that so inconsistently. So right now the employee list is null. When we step past it, our count is 0. Why? I'm not really sure. Did I accidentally delete all of them? Heck yeah, I did. That's awesome. In the most sarcastic ways possible. So when I called that delete, yeah, delete employee, I think instead of deleting the ID, I think it deleted all of them. Which isn't a big deal. I can put it back in, but let's check and see what I did here. That's what I get for copying in code from last week without checking and seeing. So employee card, employee listing. When we call delete employee, should have removed that employee. Where is the employee ID coming from? Delete employee. Our employee ID. So somehow, instead of deleting the employee, just deleted everything. And I had a little warning here. Cannot be used as type parameter. Nullability. Doesn't match class constraint. So because our employee is nullable, it probably just passed in null and just deleted everything. Deleted all the employees. Let's see if I can get it back through a migration. It's very possible that it won't come back and I can just import it. Yeah, we'll just import it into here from CSV file. We're going to use employees, yep, mock data. There's all our employees. Table name, we're going to say employee. Column names are not in the first line. Trim fields. Disable data type detection. And let's see if we can just import it. There we go. So now we've got it back. And I'm going to have to go into that delete employee, and we're going to have to change that a little bit. And save. Try this again. We should see some employees this time. Nope. So open database. And we still have no employees. I think I did not commit that properly. Not need column names. We're going to disable data type detection. This is going to be employee. Yes. Please import the data. Write changes. I forgot, when you do any kind of writing, you have to click write changes, then close the database. And there's our stuff. However, this appears really wonky now. So I need to go back in and check my data. Which seems to have nothing in it again. Now I'm convinced that something else is going on. Something different than the delete. Because now we have nothing in the database again. So let's do another import from our CSV file. Here, let's see, column names are not in the first line. But maybe the field order is different. So field 1, 2, 3, let's see, Alicia. First name, last name, email. Ah, it is. So the field name order is different. We have first name is first. So that's a problem. I'm not really sure why it's in a different order. Let's go back into our context here. Employee data context. First name, yeah, that's all there. Let's go to our employee.cs, first name, last name, email, department avatar. So yeah, we are going to have to figure out why that is. Something is deleting all of this data every time I run it. Because we ran it, and then we refreshed it, and it was gone. So let's see. Delete employees definitely had something to do with it, I think. One thing I could do is go into our data, delete this, delete our migrations, just start it over again. Add an initial migration. This should actually create the database for us. I usually don't like to do that, but maybe it's not going to. Let's find out. Yep, it did. Okay. So we don't really have to create that blank database like I did in the beginning, but let's open it up. Jeremy, repos. This one is employees. Open. Yay, we have employees. Now I'm going to run this and see if it kills everything. If it does, then there's definitely something that I need to figure out here. We'll figure it out together. Show employees. There they all are. Refresh. Show employees. They're gone. And I'll stop this. I'll go in and browse table. No more employees. So something is deleting all of those. I'm going to remove all of that delete stuff out of here. So there's callback delete employee. Just to make sure we're going to kill that. But something is removing all of our data every time this is run. So when we click Show Employees, Index Razor CS, we'll pin this here. And all this is doing is context employees to list. That's it. Context is not null, which is true. We step in. Employee list, view count 0. What on earth is happening to our data? Close database, open database. You can tell by the file size it is not correct. So let's close database again. It's going to delete this again. We're going to delete those migrations. And see if I can run it again. This is very interesting. This definitely wasn't something I was expecting at all today, but that's okay. That's what makes it fun, right? So we're going to add the initial migration. This is going to throw all of our seed data in there. .NET DF database update. And I might have to come back for a second stream because I wanted to start the JavaScript stream next week, but there's no way I can leave this thing hanging forever. So we've got that. Let's open up. We just did a migration again. Here's all our data. Cool. Browse table. Let's see. Yeah, browse data. There's 100 records. That looks good. Let's close the database. Run the file. And see where it's at. Now here, click and show employees. There's all of our employees. I think this is the point at which it deletes it. After the first time it shows it. Oh, they're still there. So what happens if I refresh it? Refresh. Still there. Now I'm going to press show employees a second time. Show employees. It's there. Go to home. Go to here. Go to home. Go to show employees. Now I can't get it to delete it again. Very unnerving knowing that data could just be kind of randomly deleted like that. It's like a little scary. So, let's see. I'm not really sure, but I have to think that my delete employee button had something to do with that. But let's make it so that we can edit these particular items. Let's get into the create, read, update, delete stuff. So we've got read. We don't have create yet. So I guess we could just start with create. Say if it's not null, there. And this one I would like to start just populating it instead of doing show employees, but I don't know if it's entirely possible. Let me jump into my other little project here, and I'm going to see if I was doing it in a previous project that I'm working on. This is kind of what I want to open anyway. Choose your own cloud adventure. And here, I thought I was doing something similar to that, but maybe not. Level 2, session. Well, I'm going to try it initialized async and see if that works. And I just happen to have that in my notes. Now, for the folks that are using Blazor, frequently know that this is basically like a constructor. This thing gets called every time that page is called. It's called oninitialized async. We're going to put our show employees in there. Can we await the context? No. We cannot. But we'll use this instead of show employees. We'll just populate it when it starts up. There we go. So now we don't need this show employees button. We're just going to automatically show employees when we load it up. And in here, whoops, I accidentally closed my pinned tab. Index razor over here to the left, friend. Oh, I guess since it's pinned, it's not going to let me do it. Let's get rid of the show employees button. We're just going to say our employees. All right. So now we want to edit an employee. So we're going to change our card a little bit. We're going to go into our card here. And the only thing we had here was, delete employee, which we're not going to use yet. However, we are going to do a code behind for this card because we're going to add some code to it. So class card.razor.cs. Cool, cool, cool. Check something here really quick. All right. So, public partial, class, employee card. And we're going to take everything that's in that employee card here. We're going to get rid of this code and just do code behind instead. So we got all this stuff. Should be able to dump this in. So declaring property is nullable. Sure. For now. So now our employee card works. On click delete employee. Obviously we don't have that anymore. Oh, it really wants. Let's just put in a stub here. What did I name that? Delete employee. Int ID. Oh, yeah, got to put that in the class, right? Okay, so this is a part of our card. Let's make sure this works. Nope. Public API. I'm just going to remove it completely. Because we're not deleting the employee. We're editing the employee. And we'll run it. I'd like to be able to edit this in line. So I click edit employee. Should be able to edit in line. So how can we do that? We could change this entire thing here. First, we'll put a flag in here. is editing. We'll start false. So by default, we're not editing. And then here in our code, we're going to say if is editing is false. Hello, Thindle. How are you doing today? Div class, div. Let's see. Find out where that div goes. So yeah, so everything in here will be if we're not editing. Whoops. We're doing this. Div class here, here. Okay, so this should work. I'm doing great. Doing awesome. Working on some more Blazor data component stuff. Had some real weird stuff happen today. Had some stuff that work that usually never works, and then I had some stuff that I've never seen happen before. So when I click, so I'm putting this flag in here that says, if we're not editing, display it. Else, we're going to do some editing stuff. And for now, we'll just put in editing. That never happens to me. Yeah, it's awesome. The streaming gods are friendly to me and unfriendly in the same stream. But that's cool. So when we click edit employee, we're going to, I don't know, we'll put set editing flag. I always start to get these, the syntax kind of messed up in here after a long enough time on stream. My brain starts to slow down big time. But it's cool. So we're going to say public void set editing flag. The only way to set this is to true, so we're going to say is editing is true. That's the only thing we do with this function. Editing. Now you can see we have a different display. So that's perfect. And here we're going to put in our edit fields. It's going to look exactly like the other fields, except we can edit it, obviously. So instead of image class for employee avatar, I should do an input. Name, avatar, value, input. What on earth am I doing wrong here? Employee avatar. Maybe it's input text. Let's do it like that. Maybe that's what it's looking for, is an actual razor instead of HTML component. Go here, click on edit. It's trying to use SignalR. I don't want to use SignalR for this, but I might have to. Should just be an input. Smart tag, yeah, right there. Like literally right there. I don't think I shouldn't have to put else there. Yeah, it really doesn't like that, does it? Weird. Try rebuild. When all else fails, rebuild. Nope. It says you're closing a tag that has not been opened, even though I'm opening it right here. That's all right. I'm going to go steal some other code somewhere else. Actually, type. I could do this. Avatar, self-closing, and then I couldn't bind it to our employee avatar. All right, that should do it. Bring up an input page. There we go. There's our avatar. And I can already see an issue here with scaling, but there's our current avatar value. So let's change this a little bit. Let's get rid of this image. And let's put all this stuff in the card body. Unfortunately, I am going to have to jump off here because I have another meeting at 1 o'clock. I got to jump off here. But I will pick this stream up later this week and we will finish this out. Then next week we're going to do JavaScript games. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to do first name. Last name. Employee first name. Employee last name. Department. And email, right? And it's just about time for me to raid somebody. So all of you folks that are here with me today, we are going to raid somebody. Oh, and I just saw that Thindle raided me. Thanks again, Thindle. We've got to get together sometime and coordinate streams so that I can raid you after streams also, like we did last week. It was fun. Welcome everybody who's coming from Thindle's page. We're working on some Blazor stuff. Unfortunately, I do have to leave here pretty soon, but I'm super excited that Thindle raided me with a bunch of people. Pretty awesome, man, pretty awesome. We are doing Blazor stuff on this stream. Next week, we're going to be doing JavaScript. We're going to build a game in JavaScript for the next, I don't know, month or two. And that's also going to be exciting. You'll want to stick around for that. Okay, this should show me all of the fields that I need to edit. I also need to do labels here and say avatar. First name. Last name. Oh, there's my reminder for my next meeting. Department. And email. I've got a question from YouTube here. Want to enroll to your academy? So we are pluralsight.com. You can check it out at www.pluralsight.com. I have no idea how many people are enrolled in Pluralsight. I should probably know that number, but a lot. A lot of people are enrolled there. It's pretty cool stuff. Some great education available. So here are, when we click edit, that looks terrible. That's not working at all. Let's see. Department services. So what I'm going to do here is put in a to-do for our next stream. To do, save button, formatting. That's what we're going to do on the next stream. I'm going to do a stream this week. I'm going to try to do it tomorrow. I'm going to probably try to do it tomorrow, about the same time, and finish this thing up. But this is going to be a save button. We're going to put in a save button. We're going to do some formatting because that looks kind of terrible. But what I want to do is have it so you go in here, click Edit Employee, change something, and then save, and it saves it to the database. So as a recap, today we started from nothing, from just a brand new project. We created an employees database. With this as our model, we created a data context. We put in a whole bunch of fake mock data. We displayed it. We deleted it all several times. But these are some of the basic, like I said, CRUD operations for Entity Framework Core. And I wanted to be able to get through all of it. Unfortunately, I couldn't, so I'm going to have to do a second stream, but we are going to go through all of it. And the great news is I have an article coming out this week that just has all of that stuff step by step from the very beginning of a project to the end, how to do Entity Framework Core, creating, reading, updating, deleting. Part of the reason we didn't get done is because I did the scaffolding thing and scaffolded stuff out, which I do not do that in the article. And the article, it is, which I might add it in, but right now in the article, it does not do that. You do all the create, read, and update stuff yourself. So I want to thank everybody for coming to this stream. Very cool, very awesome. Thank you, Thindle, for rating us. And those of you who are from Thindle's stream, if you want to check us out, we do .NET stuff here. We do C# stuff here. We do JavaScript stuff here. I'm going to be doing a JavaScript game. I'm going to be learning how to create JavaScript games, and then we're going to make a JavaScript game. David Neal, who's here on Thursdays, is already making a JavaScript game. So follow our page for sure if any of this stuff sounds fun to you. It is totally fun. Thank you all, and I'll see you here. Like I said, I'm going to try to come back on here tomorrow to finish this up. And check out that. We are going to have an article on allhandsontech.com. It's going to cover all of this stuff too. Really quick, I'm going to find somebody to raid. We're going to raid their channel. Looks like none of our usual folks are on here. Thank you all for coming. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see any of our friends on here. I see it looks like okay. I'm trying to find someone fun to raid here. But I don't see any of our friends online right now. So, if anyone in the chat has any ideas of somebody really cool to raid, I will totally do that. We have someone playing chess. That looks super fun. Oh, perfect. So we do have somebody here that's doing some web development stuff with Linux. So I think that would be super cool for you all to check out. Let's see this. Oh, and here's someone doing some Unity gaming stuff. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and jump into there, since that's something that we're going to be doing very soon. Like I said, thank you all for joining. Really appreciate it. Appreciate the raids, appreciate the follows, appreciate all the fun stuff. And I will talk to you all soon.
Right there. Plural site. Thank you so much for the raid. How are you and your turtles? Oh, how's it going, Wallaber? Welcome, welcome. Open prefab. What are you guys doing? Making games, taking names. I'm looking for our cube area, which is now going to be 4 wide. Fun. Thanks, framework stuff. Cool.